The interesting question is whether that philosophizing, that thinking critically about our own situation in the world, is thematically united in some way.
So the question is, what are the primary themes, affinities, interests, ideas that are pervasive in American history of American philosophy? And I'm just going to answer without elaboration. Freedom, individuality, community, risk, justice, oppression, openness, possibility, God. If I take that list and I go back and I put one text, one phrase, one idea to underwrite all of those themes, I would call it the drama of experience.
If you know something about James, William James and James's life,
he was more or less a neurotic wreck for a good deal of his 20s and 30s.
He talks about kinds of religious experience that are deeply troubling and deeply problematic.
We begin to see this pattern, rejection of old ways of thinking based on some new insight, a coming together of ideas from Hegel, from Darwin, and from the new experimental psychology. And all of this comes together at a certain point in time that is also politically very interesting because it coincides with the progressive era in politics in the United States. And here we get Dewey's work with Jane Addams at the Hull House in Chicago.
She goes into the project of establishing social settlement and over time realizes how foolish she'd been about certain expectations about the community and what they needed. But as soon as she started listening to the community as they came in to talk with her and the other folks at Hull House, they began to realize there were things they could do, they just weren't the things they thought they could do to start.
This is a kind of hardy band of people who, William James had a sense of this, the kind of hardihood that it takes to do really challenging inquiries.
If you're not experienced, this is a Jimi Hendrix question, if you can't answer yes to the question, are you experienced, you're going to be very limited in what you can do in American philosophy, because it's the experience that drives the questions, and it's the experience that drives the answers.
Certainly Peirce's life had a tragic quality to it, but if you look at Peirce's actual theory of inquiry, you realize that most inquirers are destined to be wrong, that it's only in the long run, that after constant failures, that the general shape of truth begins to emerge for Peirce.
Santayana is a fascinating character.
He's a very odd bird. He was only 9 years old when he came here, and he never really felt like an American.
There's a deep pessimism in his work.
He thoroughly became an American, but he didn't feel like it.
His father died when he was 9. He and his brother had to share a coat, in the sense that one day one would wear it to school and the other day another would wear it to school. He created a new profession for himself, or entered a profession that was developing there. So money was always an issue for him.
If one wants to create great art, great philosophy, or even good art, good philosophy, you have to be experienced in the world. You have to have done things, you have to have seen things, and you have to bring your writing to bear on this, to interpret, to create and develop it. Without that, you're lost.
Black Elk, his near-death experience.
I know that she herself regarded the Haymarket riot and the execution of the martyrs as a radicalizing experience, or a moment when she came to awareness of
until he was 30, he was still
justice of
a believing Christian and tried to arrange his
and ended up being
around
probably the most notorious person in the United States of her era.
To his experiential details.
The crucial American philosophers with whom I deal, at least, are celebrating life. The pragmatists and the naturalists take life to be the most dramatic manifestation of reality we have experienced. Irrepressible vitality is inherently unpredictable. I take life to be, by its very nature, something that is at bottom untamable. And in that sense, life is wild.